Hello folks, this is Johnny again. First of all, sorry that I'm late again for another video. Things are going a little bit hectic at the moment because you know, I do have a life besides music. In any case, in today's video I wanted to talk about my guitars. So let's just start off with my main axe. Here it is. The Schecter C7 Blackjack ATX. I don't think they actually make this guitar in this exact setup anymore. It's 7-string, obviously, therefore it's called a C7. It comes with Seymour Duncan Blackouts pickups, active pickups. I'll talk about how I approach my djenty tones with active pickups in a bit, because usually for djent nowadays everybody is going for passive pickups. So how in the world do I do that? Oh well, what a mystery. And otherwise, this is a 26.5 inch scale. Strings are sets of Diodarios. It's a 10 to 46 set. No, wrong. It's a 13 to 62 set, and I get a single 10 at the local music shop here in my little neck of the woods. And it's been serving me rather well until now. Lately I'm noticing the 10 and 13 are a little too thick for my taste. I like easy bends. And the 62 is a little too loose lately for my taste, because I am starting to pick really hard and dig really crazy into the strings, and it's just flopping around like a noodle. So I'm switching to a different set, I'm guessing. I already got a new set. It's a 9 to 46 plus an extra 64. So we'll see how that will go. And right now it's tuned to drop A. Usually I'm at drop A flat. But since Brian and I are working on a few covers now, and not really new material, not actively at least, I tuned it to drop A to make it a bit easier to learn the songs, because most of the stuff we will be covering is in drop A or standard E tuning. It's a really solid and massive guitar, and you can really feel its massiveness when you pick it up. It's heavy duty. The neck is a little bit thicker. It's really not for everybody, but for me it's perfect because I like that massive feel you get out of it. And especially when I'm stressed out and I just need to dig into the guitars to vent some stress, then this thing can handle it. Going lower than A flat for my taste is already a little difficult on a 26.5 inch scale. I did go to drop G for some time when I was doing the album Triton, and that was already kind of difficult, because even back then Diodario also didn't have all that much available in matters of string gauges, so I could only go with a 62 or a 68. And the 62 was too flubby and the 68 was too thick and too sturdy, and it was double wounded, so it was kind of weird to play, and it didn't really fit into the rest of the set. That was kind of difficult. I mean, now they have more stuff available, but also when it comes to note definition, going lower than drop A flat is, for my taste, not so easy on this scale length. And with the active pickups, well, I just simply listen to what I'm getting and then I just tweak from there. I really don't limit myself when it comes to pickups, or try not to think too much about it. I just try to focus on what I'm hearing and then tweaking it until it sounds like what I want it to sound like. With active pickups, what I can tell you is don't use too much gain, because especially those blackouts are high output. So I roll off the gain quite a bit. When I want to get clean tones, I really need to set that gain down to get a clean. But you still notice, especially in clean tones, you notice the active pickups just have much more pressure and force in them. It's hard to get them really nice and round and beautiful and soft sounding. So depending on what you want, that actually may be a disadvantage. Also with big chords on distortion can be a little bit tricky, because then you need to set the gain down even more. It can be a bit hard, and especially the middle strings here, those three can get lost a little bit in all the distortion, and with the low strings really bursting through and the upper strings biting through, and the middle strings can get lost, and therefore you also can lose a little bit of that whole chord sound. That is what I'm noticing anyways. But for really typical Genty stuff and open note roar, those things are massive. They can really kick some butt. Also, those blackouts have a rather balanced frequency response. They have nice chunky low end, and the mid range is a bit more discreet, and the treble range is a bit more excited, so you get more of a biting tone out of those pickups. And for Genty tone, that's actually pretty good, because you want to have that bite and that roar in your pick attack. In my 6-string Ibanez, for example, I have a Seymour Duncan Invader in the bridge, and that one sounds a bit more, how would you describe it, mushy? It's more mid-range and lower range focused, and not so much treble area, so you can't get too much bite in it, and therefore it doesn't really gent as well. Or it's, let's say it's harder to make it gent. You definitely have to tweak the tone differently then. But I'll talk about that in a little bit as well. Yeah, and the sponges back here and up there, those are just to mute those parts of the strings so they don't create any ringing in your recording. And I know it doesn't look very aesthetic, but it does the job. And I rather spend 20 bucks on strings that I actually need than on any fancy wristbands for my guitars. What's also nice about this guitar is the segnet construction. You can really go up into the upper range very nicely and smoothly, though the cutout here could be a touch bigger, because I do notice sometimes it's getting in a way, especially when I do stuff like this, then yeah, stupid horn. Oh well, in any case, that's that. Really nice guitar. Then this is my 6-string Ibanez. It always feels like a ukulele when I switch from the Schecter to this one. It's an S320. You also can't get this exact model anymore. Just a year after that, they already made a revision of it, the S420, I think it was called. I also don't know what the difference is there. The specs also seem to be the same, and it was $100 more. Oh well. I hooked this up with a Seymour Duncan Invader, as I just said, and as I also said, this sounds a bit smudgier, a bit dirtier, but still very massive. This is a really high output passive pickup, and it's good for anything metal and hardcore. And and the neck pickup was still from my old Dean. If you still remember that one, that mahogany red Dean, that was a bit of a Les Paul shape. I sold that to a buddy of mine, and back then I also switched the pickups. I put the Ibanez pickups into the Dean, and then the Seymour Duncan into the bridge here, and the Dean neck pickup in here. I don't know why I did it like this. I guess because I wanted to keep the Ibanez pickups together because they were made for each other. And yeah, so this kind of happened. So you can't really use the two together. That doesn't sound very good. The way I set those up is position 5 is the bridge pickup, and then position 4 is the bridge pickup split. So I get a single coil sound. That's pretty cool, but it's really noisy. Oh my goodness. And then yeah, neck pickup. Although this is a really cheap and not so nice sounding neck pickup, there is a funky round buttery twang to it that I kind of like. So I don't really feel the need at this point to switch it out. And yeah, otherwise ZR tremolo, I really like this one. It's hooked up with ball bearings and not just pushed against an edge. So it has a really smooth feel when you go up and down. It's pretty cool. Double locking system, so it stays in tune. Yeah, this is also a solid guitar. And I don't really go lower than drop B with this one. This is at drop B right now. But I also need to get a different string set for this. This is a 56, I think now. And it's too loose for my picking style at the moment. And also the upper strings are too tight again. I don't know, but it's hard to get a really nice set that works for me. A light top and a heavy bottom. I'm not a big fan of Ernie Ball, I must say. I kind of like D'Addario a little better, but D'Addario doesn't have a lot to offer in different sets. I don't know, it's weird. Oh, well, I was thinking of switching to Calium strings, but since they are in the US and I'm in Germany, shipping costs are enormous. 30 bucks. For 30 bucks I could get 3 D'Addario sets. So in order to make an order from them worth my while, I would have to spend quite a bit. And yeah, not in the cards right now. So that's that. Oh yeah, look at this little thing here. I'm pretty sure you saw this just hanging there all the time. This is actually my brother's guitar, my older brother. I have an older brother and an oldest brother, so I'm the youngest of 3 boys. Oh boy. And that thing is basically just catching dust there. I was thinking of buying it off of his hands because he doesn't really play anymore. And then I was thinking about pimping it up with new electronics, new pickups and whatnot. And he said, you know what, keep it. I thought, cool, thanks. And I tuned this to drop D right now. And it's a really old guitar. It's a 250 bucks Ibanez GRG something. It's really a beginner's guitar. But it plays surprisingly well for that. That's Ibanez for you. Even the low range stuff plays really nice. It may not sound nice, but it plays nice. And the tuning is also rather stable. Although it's a really cheap tremolo bridge that I also want to fix, want to put a tremolo in there. And then also new pickups because those are really weak. Yeah. But what I noticed when I tune to drop D, it really forces me to actually come up with intriguing riffs. When I tune to drop A or drop A flat, I tend to rely too much on that low, powerful sound. And then what happens is you're just chugging along all day and you're not coming up with anything interesting. So I find actually playing in drop D forces, you can't rely on any powerful sound, especially with those pickups. They sound weak, so you can't rely on the sound. You have to come up with interesting riffs. And when you then translate those to the lower tuning on the massive guitar, that's when things get interesting. So, something to think about. Oh, it's getting warm in here. Those lights are getting warm and I'm getting heated up and it's muggy today. Blue. Okay, now let's take a look at my bass guitar. It's a Yamaha RBX375. Yep. It's a solid guitar. Basic, 34-inch scale, standard. Because it's standard, it's hard to go really low with the tunings and getting a good sound out of it. Especially since I'm also using the D'Addario strings on this, and the thickest string they have for bass is a 145. And the ball bearing end here, it's also super thick, the string, and the way this bridge is constructed, it doesn't sit so nice into the socket. It's a little problematic. And then volume, bass, treble, I keep those flats. No, this is volume. Keep those all the way up, and I mostly use the bridge, the neck pickup. It's a solid beginner's bass guitar, I guess. 5-string beginner's bass guitar. I just got this because I needed something to fill up the low end, and I didn't want to pitch my guitar down an octave all the time because it doesn't sound very good. It may fill up the low end, but it doesn't have any kind of character to it. There's no rumble, there's no roar, there's no massiveness, there's no real definition. It just sounds ugly. Okay, what's there to talk about this guitar? Actually, I might as well could have gone with a 4-string bass because I barely used the upper strings. But I do want to change that. I don't know. I don't like it that I only double what the guitars do with the bass. It's kind of boring. I want to get more actual bass line in there, make the bass its own instrument in the mix. I find that much more interesting. Also, lately I'm noticing this bass guitar doesn't really give me anymore what I'm looking for right now. It doesn't have this nice crunchy and roaring mid-range that I would like to have. I don't know, it kind of sounds weird in the mid-range. I mean, the low end is solid, yeah, but that's about it. It doesn't really have the character I'm looking for right now. I was thinking of selling this and getting me a Squier jazz bass, you know, Fender Squier jazz bass. I'm hearing lots and lots of good stuff about those. In general, jazz basses are supposedly the way to go when I want to have what I want to have right now. And this is my acoustic guitar, also 250 bucks Ibanez, just something cheap, because my old acoustic guitar broke down, the bridge came off. Actually, that was my dad's guitar. He used to play guitar way back in his younger years, but he didn't really get into it, and the guitar was still there and I used it, and now it's broken. And so he got me this one with built-in tuner and built-in microphone that sounds like total crap, so I always mic it up with my Behringer B1 mic that's over there catching dust right now. That's doing a good job. Perhaps a little bit honky in the 200 to 500 Hertz area. It could be a bit more rounded, but yeah, I mean, it has a bit more, the body is a bit thinner and smaller than my old guitar, so I'm guessing that has something to do with it. But otherwise, again, I just needed some acoustic guitar, because you just need to have an acoustic guitar in your set if you want to be taken serious. No, not quite like that. But I always find only playing electric guitar and being all about the shredding and the massive riffing, that's too narrow-minded for my taste. I sometimes like to just jam on this guitar. I often come up with, or sometimes I come up with some interesting stuff that I then translate onto the electric guitar. It's forcing me to try out different things. I guess that's a kind of the point you can get out of this video. Try doing something completely different what you're usually doing, and then you're forced to take a different approach, and then you can come up with new stuff and you can translate that to what you're used to and write some new music. Yeah, and that's that. Okay, that's it for this video. I hope it was some good time wasting again, and as always, subscribe and give us a like on Facebook, and yeah, check out music on Bandcamp, and I will see you in the next video.